My name is HAPruitt and I am the author of Anelthalien. And in this video, I am going to tell some more about the story behind the second book in the Anelthalien series, Earth Quaking. Earth Quaking is the second book, set to come out June 30th, 2021. So the writing went pretty easy, but this is the story behind kind of the publishing and everything that went into me going forward and making it into a book. So today I'm going to have Clarge help me. Clarge is a guinea pig. He's a boy. And so I'm going to use him to replace somebody's name. So this is Clarge. He's gonna play somebody for me. I'm going to use him to replace somebody's name. Just, you shall see why. So in the last video about the story behind Anelthalien, I told how I had given Brenda the manuscript and she read it in a week, and she read it so fast and it was so wonderful. And it was during that week that she was reading the book that I had sent out a couple copies of Anelthalien to several authors and asked them to read it and to review it. Just some fellow authors, hoping they would read it and review it, and I had sent it to Clarge. And Clarge had read it, and Clarge got a hold of me that week and said that he wanted to call me and talk to me and tell me his review before he put it up or did anything with the review. And I was really nervous about that, just because I don't like talking on the phone. Talking on the phone is kind of scary and intimidating for me. Where are you going, Clarge? Stay put, sweetie. Talking on the phone is really intimidating for me. And so just the fact that somebody wanted to call me was intimidating. It wasn't about Clarge at all. And so I was pretty intimidated, but my husband encouraged me and he said that it wasn't going to be a big deal, that if somebody wanted to call me and talk about my book, they were probably excited about it. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to have Clarge call me and it'll be okay and everything will be fine. Clarge doesn't like that. Okay. So we made a time to call, and Clarge called me, and, it wasn't what my husband said it would be. For about an hour and a half, Clarge told me all the different ways why my book was bad and why no one would ever read it. Told me that the cover was bad and that the cover would give people the wrong idea of what was in Anelthalien. There you go. Clarge said that the cover, people would get the wrong idea of what Anelthalien was actually about. He talked about how the first page was so awful no one would read past the first page. He just talked about, he had a couple good things to say, but Clarge mostly said that I had made a lot of bad decisions and I should probably regret most of my decisions in making the book, and I should change it. And whenever I told Clarge that I couldn't change it because I had done it with a hybrid publisher, Elm Hill, and now it was under HAPruitt Publishing, he was like, oh man, well, that's a really bad deal that your book's that bad. And I mean, the way that Clarge spoke was very kind and meant to encourage, but in the end, it really came down to an hour and a half of Clarge telling me how bad my book was and why I should change it and all the different ways I should change it. And that was really hard. Before Clarge started talking about all the different ways that my book wasn't good, he asked me how I took criticism, and I do usually take criticism pretty well. I know that I am a flawed person and I need to better myself in many areas, and so I like to get feedback and understand how I can be better. But an hour and a half of someone telling you how bad something you've done is, when the thing that made it the hardest was that I am 100% sure, like, there are two things in my life that I'm 100% sure God told me to do, and I did it exactly like God told me to do it. And that's marrying my husband and making this book exactly like I made it. And having someone tell you that you didn't follow God right, and you messed up, and you shamed God. He didn't say those words at all, but him saying, you didn't do this very good, made me feel like that I had shamed God, and I didn't do it good, and I didn't do it right. Was really tough. An hour and a half of that. Just think about if you listen to an hour and a half of somebody just telling you all the ways that you were messed up and a failure and what you should regret and what you should change. And I mean, every time I look at this cover of this book, I am so certain that it is what God told me to do. And that's the only thing that got me through that phone call. My book was laying on the table, and I kept looking at it, and I just knew in my soul that this was what God wanted me to do. And I mean, it was really hard to keep it together and not cry through the whole thing, because it was just a lot of me learning why he really didn't like my, oh, don't bite me. Yeah, he didn't like my book. Don't bite me, Clarge. And so I was trying to keep it together, and I just started praying, because it was getting really hard, and I was praying, asking God to help me, just like, help me know that what I did isn't wrong. Help me know that I shouldn't regret what I did, because Clarge on the phone really was trying hard to get me to regret what I did and change what I did. And Clarge on the phone, when I was praying that, he said, you know, when I went into your book, I was looking for something different. And it seems like I got something different. And that made me feel a lot better, because the whole thing behind Anelthalien, if you ever wanted to find something different, Anelthalien is waiting. And it was like God dropping that into Clarge's mouth to tell me that, yes, Heather, you did write something different, and not everyone's going to like that. And in the book, the kids, they start off wanting something, but then God gives them something different, and they don't like it. And so it was kind of like God saying, this guy, Clarge, right here, he didn't like your book, but because he was going into it expecting something and wanting something, but God was giving him something different, that's why he didn't like it. It wasn't me doing something wrong. It was just him having an expectation that I didn't give him, and him not finding that expectation that he made for himself. And so that was really helpful when God let that come out of his mouth. That God was letting me know that it wasn't, that I should not regret this, because I know I made this book like God wanted me to. And so God really was right there whenever it was really, really difficult. So that phone call was really difficult, and it made me want to quit. It made me want to stop. It made me want to just throw it all up in the air and say I'm done, because I failed at following God once, and so why try again with Earth Quaking? But I didn't. And so in my next video, I will tell you what helped me so much, what God gave me when I was in just this pit of horribleness. When I was in this pit of horribleness because of that phone call. So, before I go, I want to say please comment, please subscribe. Please tell me if you're an author and you've ever had a time where you got a review and someone just tore you up and you felt like you should quit. We can talk about it together and encourage each other. Please subscribe, please comment, please like this video, and please subscribe so you can keep watching next week and hear about what God did to help me, keep going. So bye for now. If you want to know more about Anelthalien or HAPruitt, please follow me on Instagram at HAPruitt. You can find me on Amazon as an Amazon author, HAPruitt. Please watch my YouTube channel and all my cool videos on my channel, HAPruitt Anelthalien. You can find me on the Facebook page, HAPruitt Anelthalien. You can follow me on Goodreads by the name HAPruitt and the book Anelthalien, or you can go to my website where so much cool stuff about Anelthalien is. The website is HAPruitt.com.